Hey everyone, welcome to a Between the Games special episode of Short Game Long Talk, where we're going to be talking about, surprise, surprise, the Five Nights at Freddy's movie in the same month that we talked about a Five Nights at Freddy's game. That was planned on purpose. Yeah, we both just saw it. We didn't see it together, which is not normal for us, but we both saw it. I saw it on Friday. Jess, you just saw it yesterday, so like the day after, so it's a little more fresh in your mind. But we're going to be kind of discussing, I don't know what the layout of this is going to be, because like the story is pretty cut and dry. I think we'll probably just talk about moments we like, and then maybe we'll, like, if we feel like it needs to be explained, that moment, then we'll kind of discuss the story bits or whatnot. But how did you feel about the movie overall?
I think the critics were way too harsh. I loved it. I'm not even gonna lie.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know it was fan service and it did what it needed to do with the fan service,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't care. I'm a sucker for fan service.
I mean, if you
And
were going to see this movie and weren't expecting fan service, like, I don't know what you were expecting.
yeah,
Like this
I
movie
saw
is going to be all fan service.
I saw a lot of people being like, "Yeah, it was just fan service." So it was like, eh. And I was like, "What the fuck did you expect it to be?"
Literally. No, it's literally like, because like if you don't know, I don't know why you're here. If you don't know what Five Nights at Freddy's is, like I said the same thing in the last episode, but like those games, I was telling Nina, I was like, there was no blatant story until the eighth game. Like there's 7 games of like no story, just hidden lore and moments. So
And and the lore is just theories that like people thought of, and then Scott Cawthon was like, "Yeah."
basically, yeah. Like he might have had some kind of idea with like the dead children in the first game, because of like the newspaper clippings and stuff. But like, yeah, that like the whole game is just moments. Like, so how are you not gonna do, uh, like fan service for the whole thing? And like that's exactly what it needed to be. And the fan service was cool, but it wasn't like in your face. Like it doesn't make sense for it to exist in this movie. So I thought it was good too. I gave it like I think like a 7 for me. But we'll get into that a little more later. What out of 10? What would you give this?
I'd say like an 8.
Yeah, yeah. It was definitely. It's interesting. One of the things that I thought was interesting was that it was like obviously advertised as a horror movie. It was not scary, really at all. I think I got jumped. I jumped once, and that was when one of the dream sequences, which we'll describe later, which I love the dream sequences, when a kid ran past the front of the screen really close. That was the only time that I was like, huh, oh, okay. That was it. And I'm usually a big baby when it comes to horror movies, but I was telling Nina, I was like, I'm so desensitized to these characters really that I'm like, I don't think there's anything in here that could scare me. Like even the 3 jump scares that are in this movie were more for laughs than anything. So I'd be curious if the next movie, which there will definitely be a next movie, ends up leaning more into the actual horror and having more jump scares.
You see, that's where we differ. My heart rate was up the entire.
Really?
Maybe it's because like I went into it anticipating like, okay, there's gonna be jump scares.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna be scary. So maybe like I was already getting my adrenaline pumping,
Mm-hmm.
and also the fact that I was getting a lot of stares walking around in the restaurant before we went to the
Oh,
movie, like in the parking lot going into the movie theaters, and then in the movie theater I was getting like a lot of, "Oh hey, like your
yeah.
costume."
You want to give some context to that?
Oh yeah. Um
Just, I was getting a lot of stares. Like, oh yeah, Jess. Oh yeah. If you don't know, Jess has one big eyeball. Like, she just gets lots of stares all the time.
um I dressed up as Shadow Bonnie. So I was in like an all black outfit. I made Bonnie ears.
In like 4 hours, you made those.
Yeah, I the mess is still in the front of my room.
They looked really good, and I mean, you picked the perfect one to do in 4 hours since it's just black. Like,
I bought the spray paint day of.
Nice. Solid. You spray painted in your room?
No, outside.
Okay. Thank God. I was like, bro, you're going to be like, how did you sleep in that room last night? Yeah, your costume looked good. I liked it. It was just like a very chill costume. Who else dressed up? There was you posted some pictures. Who else was dressed up?
My roommate dressed up as William Afton. If you look in the picture of the mirror, in the tiniest corner, it's just a face. That's my roommate. And then my two friends from elementary school, they're sisters. They dressed up as Monty Gator and Glamrock Chica. And then my roommate's boyfriend, he didn't have an outfit, but he wanted to dress up. So he got two masks, like doctor masks.
Yeah.
They were both black. Balled one up, put it over his eye, under his glasses, and then poked a hole through the other one, put a hanger through it.
Okay.
And then put it on his arm and said that he was Foxy.
Hell yeah. I like that. I mean,
And
it works. Like,
yeah. And then our other friend Simon, he came to the show just to watch, just to be with us. He never watched any FNAF. He only watched like the early Matt Pat videos.
Okay.
And so he was like, I don't know like what to dress up as. You guys are all dressing up. And so we printed out a Markiplier. Was that the bite of 87?
Oh, yeah.
And he poked holes in it and he just held it in front of his
That's
face.
so funny. Because I was literally going to say, I was like, he could just be a Let's Player. And yeah, that worked out. That's so funny. So I'm looking at the pictures you sent me of the mirror pictures. And so I can see so that makes more sense now. Because I was like, oh, they didn't dress up. But like one of your friends clearly has like makeup on. So it's Monty Gator and Glamrock Chica is the other two. Oh, your friend in the Monty Gator, is she wearing a Raven's belt, like from Raven from Teen Titans belt? Because that's what that looks like to me.
Yes, because she's going to be Raven for Halloween.
Sick. Pretty happy I ID'd that really quickly. That was like my first thought when I actually looked back on these photos.
Yeah, if you look at you can't see it. When it's the three of us, you could see my roommate's blood on their face.
Oh, yeah. I can see that. And then, oh, yeah, I see the Glamrock Chica like face paint on your other friend. Nice. Very cool. It was, and then I like what made you choose Shadow Bonnie? I'm very curious of all.
Okay. So I was going to do like Bonnie or like one of the original animatronics.
Yeah.
But I was scrolling through TikTok and it was like idea outfits for the Five Nights at Freddy's movie. And so I was like, oh, let me scroll through this. I start scrolling and then I see the outfit inspiration for Shadow Bonnie. And I was like, I can do that. And I don't need to buy anything for it.
Yeah, very important.
And then I looked at the makeup that they had for it. And I've always been wanting to do like some type of like dark makeup. And I was like, this is my time.
Yeah, it's my opportunity. Yeah. It can start as a costume and then it'll be a daily thing.
And it was really funny because the day before I decided I was going to do Shadow Bonnie, me and my roommate went to Ulta because it's half a mile away from our dorm. We went to Ulta and I saw the black lipstick and I was like, oh, this is so cool. But I have no reason to wear it.
Yeah.
And now I do.
Yes.
So I got to buy it.
Nice. That's awesome. Well, that's really cool. So tell me, I mean, I'll probably right now, I'll cut in that bit that we recorded a little bit before about my experience. So enjoy that. And then after that, you'll get to hear Jess's experience because I'm very curious. I'll probably bring it up during the episode, but I literally sat next to the people that sat next to Nina were like around our age and we were like sick. Great. They looked like put together. They just looked like fans like us. And then the people that sat next to me, there was like two seats down. There was a group of like 5, probably like middle schoolers. And they were kind of loud, but then like as the lights dimmed, they got quiet. And I was like, cool. But the people directly next to me were like freshmen in high school, and
Mm.
they were the worst. And I was very close. I don't usually like do this during movies, but I was very close to being like, I don't care if you talk. I understand you're excited, but can you like whisper? Maybe like lean over to each other and talk, because like shut the fuck up. Like, but I ended up not doing that. But they kept doing something that made me like double take a couple times. No, no. They made me double take a couple times because I thought it was you. Because they kept going womp womp, and I was like, okay. And I had to double take a couple times, and I was like, "There's no fucking way," because I forgot. I was like, "I'm pretty sure she's seeing it on Saturday, and I don't know why the fuck she would be all the way over here to see this movie right now." So, but I had to double take like 3 different times because they kept going womp womp, and I was like, "If this is Jess, I'm gonna strangle her," because I can. But I was like, "Wow, that was something."
Womp womp.
Yeah, so I don't know where that comes from, but that was interesting. But they were pretty bad. But for the most part, I was able to get through it and be fine, I would say. Like, yeah, your experience, I'm very curious. Like, were you guys the rowdy bunch?
No, actually, okay. One of us was,
Mm-hmm.
but my roommate and me, we both would go, "Shut the fuck up!"
That's good. Good. You were
Whisper yelled it.
you were self-regulating, which is good.
Because he'd go like, "Oh my God, oh my God," like, and start talking
Yeah.
very loud,
Ugh.
and me and my roommate would just turn and go, "Shut the fuck up! Shut the fuck up! Shut up! Shut up! Shut up!"
Yeah, for real. Like, it was just 2 girls, so there was no like they were both into talking, and there was no self-regulating going on. And I was like, I get it. Like, this movie is fun, and everything, but I was like, because I was talking to Nina, because I would lean over and explain some things if she wanted, but I was like right in her fucking ear the whole time, like I'm not
Yeah.
actually talking and being like, bruh, every time something happens, like, so fucking annoying. So tell me about your experience.
So it was actually really fun. We got there at 6:40. No. We got there at 6:50. The showing was at 7,
Oh,
but we
dang.
had to wait for everyone to get there. So we were like, and it was like 6:55, and we were all still like outside talking, and I was like, "Guys, let's head inside."
Yeah,
And then
I've trained you to be early for movies now.
I know when we were still at the restaurant at 6:30, I was like, "Why aren't we there yet?"
Yeah, we
Why?
should be in seats right now. What are we doing?
People were still ordering.
That's crazy.
I was like, "Guys, we need to fucking go. We need to go."
I'm so happy this promptness has rubbed off on you. Like, I love being early for movies because like it's fun to just be there and talk, and then like you get that build up, and you're like, I'm here, I'm chill, I'm good. I can go to the bathroom. I got all my food. Like, we're good. You don't have to rush.
So, we get inside, and they're like, "Okay, auditorium 8's that way." We're like, "Okay, cool." And this Simon, our friend, was like, "Oh, I brought my Harkins cups. I'm gonna get a drink."
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, "We do not have time for that.
Yeah.
Come on, let's all go."
This is punishment for being late. You don't get your drink. You get to your seat, and that's it. You're going to deal with it. You're going to hold on to that empty cup.
But so we go and we get in the seats, and it's still previews. And so I'm just going to name all my friends.
Mm-hmm. Did you get to see a lot of previews? I'm very curious what you thought of them.
We got to see some of them, but we were talking through most of them. So
there was some bad titles in those previews. But yeah, I was curious if you got any. I think one of them was like Silent Knife. It was a Christmas one, and then I think there was one just called Thanksgiving. That's a horror movie based on Thanksgiving. And then there was one other one. I think Night Swim was one too. I was like,
I saw Night Swim.
Yeah, that looked fucked up. Honestly, that was really scary. But the other two, I was like, the one that I thought was actually really interesting, complete side note, was the silent knife one, where like a girl prevents, like she is, like a year ago, she prevents the murder of like half of the town by like catching the murderer in the act and accidentally killing him. And then she like wishes, she gets like depressed like a year later or something like that, and wishes that she was never born. And so like that murderer is still out there and alive. I was like, cool premise. And then the title came up. I was like, guys, what the fuck? This is a terrible title. But yeah. Okay. So you're watching previews and you're talking through them, and then, oh yeah, you're going to name your friends. That was what you're going to do.
Okay. Yeah. So we've got Joash.
Joash.
Joash. Yeah. He's really cool. Joash, Gilbert, Million.
We got Joash Gilbert.
Joash, Gilbert, Million. That's my roommate.
Okay. Goes by M,
Me.
right?
Million, M, whichever one. Me, Simon, Blythe, Brinley, Michelle. Oh my God. I forgot the last two because I just met them that night.
Oh, that's fine. That's fair. I mean, if you just met them.
Oh, Callie, or Kaylee, but spelt like Callie.
Okay.
And then I forgot the last one.
8 out of 9 is pretty good. Or is it 7 out of 8?
It was 9 out of 10, actually.
Okay, so there's a group of 10, and there's 9 other people.
Yeah,
Holy
that's what I meant.
Shit, that's a big group of people for a movie. That's fun, though.
Yeah. The last one that I'm forgetting her name was introduced to me as Michelle's Pookie. So
we're gonna go with Pookie then. We're gonna go with Pookie. I'm writing these down because I'll forget. I'm like legitimately writing these down because I was gonna take notes anyways, and I have a notepad, and I was like, I'll write down the names.
So we're at previews, and I'm like, okay, lights haven't dimmed. We still have at least like 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
I want to go take a picture in the bathroom. Like I want like a mirror picture. Yeah. And so I turned to M and I'm like, hey, I want to go take a picture in the bathroom. Do you want to come with me? And she's like, yeah, why not? Let's go. And so we get up, and Simon and Blythe and Brinley are like, what are you guys doing? Where are you guys going? Like, it's about to start soon. And me and Million were like, oh, we're going to go to the bathroom and take a picture. Brinley and Blythe both stand up and they go, let's go. Mm-hmm. Let's do it. And Simon's like, if you guys want to get back before the movie, you guys better like sprint. You guys got to run. And so in my 3-inch Docs platform
the big
boots,
ones,
I start sprinting. Luckily, we were only in section E. So like we only had one step to go down. Mm-hmm. But we're sprinting out of there. We go, we take pictures, we come back. Lights still haven't dimmed. We took like 2 minutes and we took 5 pictures.
Nice.
I was like, let's go. Let's go.
Record time.
Right? So we get back, and then Simon's like, if you guys were able to go and do that before the movie started, I can go get popcorn and a drink.
Nope. There's a
difference. You missed
difference.
the entire opening.
Yeah, there's a difference. You have control over taking pictures. You don't have control over how long a line is going to take.
Yeah.
There's a big difference. Okay. So we're at the beginning of the movie now.
Yes.
Yeah. So the opener, what did you think of the opening scene with, it was the Freddy Fazbear's Pizza Place, and there was unknown security guard.
I was holding my roommate's hand the entire time. I was like, no, gore, ew, no. And then it never showed up.
Yes. Before we get going, this is if you're here, it's gonna be spoilers. I just want to like point that out. Like there's gonna be all spoilers for the whole movie. So if you've made it this far, hey, great, glad you're here. But we're gonna spoil the movie now. So before we continue any further, I figured we should mention that real quick. But yeah, the nice friendly reminder: there is really no blood. There's like, I would say, one bad cut full of blood in this whole movie. Like there's really not that much. I was like, okay, cool, for sure, that makes sense. This movie's PG-13. There was one gnarly death, I would say that, but it wasn't even. It was shown as a silhouette, so you don't even actually see it, which was cool. I'm cool with that. So, yeah, it was like, honestly, if it's literally just a like cut and dry like horror setting movie with not really any blood or violence, really, for that matter. There's really not that much. Yeah, so we'll get into that. But yeah, the opening scene with the security guard, and then he gets attacked by Foxy, right? Is Foxy the one that drags him into the back room? And then yeah. And if you've seen the trailer, there's like a Freddy mask that has a bunch of spinning blades in it. Which I have a theory about what that is, and we'll discuss. But what were you going to say?
That was a thing that I really, really liked throughout the movie, was that they got the Foxy's bum bum bum.
Mm-hmm. Foxy was great.
I loved it.
Foxy was definitely my favorite in this movie. He was used very well. He was posed as much of a threat as he is in the game, which is cool. He's definitely the most deadly. Bonnie was pretty much useless, which was sad. I was like, Bonnie he's the one that comes after you first in the game. He should have some kind of thing, but no, he just killed one guy in a broom closet. But yeah, do you have any idea what that machine is?
No.
Okay, so I'm not gonna like talk about theories too much because that's not our position. But in the books and stuff, Afton is trying to experiment with Remnant, which is what in the books and games is what actually is the power behind the animatronics. So
and it's what keeps Afton immortal.
Yes, and it's what powers. It brings metal to life, basically, because in this movie, they do keep on. Like they keep the 1-to-1 that the kids were killed. Remember I said spoilers. The kids were killed and then put inside of the 4 animatronic bodies and a 5th one that we'll discuss later. But 4 animatronic bodies, and they were never found. The difference in this is that they flat out call them ghosts, and they are typically non-violent, which was interesting. Whereas in the games, they are not powered by ghosts. They are powered by, I think it's what did I have the agony. They're powered by agony, like pure agony.
Mm, yeah.
And so the Remnant is that it's agony, basically. It's pure agony that's powering it. So what I'm assuming, and I think Matt Pat talked about this in a video, that which I just watched his new one this morning, so I actually have some things to discuss. That machine is like trying to give somebody the most gruesome death possible, so that it will possess that animatronic.
Agony.
Yeah. So that's what I think it is, and that's the only thing that would make sense. Because if he just killed the kids normally before and then put them in the bodies, or into the suits, like. Why make the spinning Saw death trap thing, which was like it just straight out of the movie Saw. I was like, okay, this is fine.
So my Million, my roommate, is very obsessed with Saw movies.
Mm-hmm.
And when we saw the spinning thing, she turns to me and she goes, "It's just like the Saw movies."
Literally, like that's literally what it looked like.
Especially with the security guard trying to unscrew it.
Yeah.
They were like, he's trying to open it. He's trying to leave. It's like the Saw movie.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting that it could be solved like that. I was like, wait, you just pull out the little bolt and that's it. But I wanted to bring up a fun fact that I found out by watching Matt Pat's videos, video this morning, because it wasn't really a theory video. It was him discussing his time in the movie, because he kept that under wraps, and his actual last video was a theory, but he didn't write it because he has the script. So he already knew everything that was happening in the movie. So his lead editor, I think, wrote the theory, and then he just obviously, as the face of the show, read it. But he posted a video of a whole wall of images of people that were in the movie, and that's how he found out about a couple of the YouTubers that were in the movie. And Mark, which
Was supposed to be in it.
he was supposed to be in it. He was
supposed to be
Yeah, he was supposed to be the security guard that died. And I called Nina when I found that out, because I told her, I was like, oh yeah, he was supposed to be in the movie, but I don't know what he was supposed to be in. And then I found out this morning, I called her and we were discussing it, and we were both like, I'm kind of happy he wasn't that, because it would have been very distracting having one of the world's biggest YouTubers in the first scene of the movie kind of thing. It would have been less scary because it would have been like, oh, haha, look, it's Mark. Like, like, I'm glad it was just an unnamed dude. And now Mark can show up as like a pizza delivery guy or some shit in the next movie, like just a random character. Because I think that fits the YouTuber thing better than him dying in the first, like being the first scene like that. Like if Matt Pat was in the first scene, it would have been like, I'm distracted. But this was just some guy who was a security guard and he was scared and he died. Like,
yeah.
I think that worked better. But yeah, he definitely is going to probably be in the next one. But that I did find that out, and I thought that was really funny. But yeah, what did you think of that scene overall? Did you like it? Did you think it was like a little too out of like different from the games, or how did you feel?
I was just like a little confused at first, because I was like, I knew it was a security guard, and I was like, why the fuck is he trying to go through a vent? Because he's like trying to undo the screws in the vent to escape whatever's trying to get into the door. And I'm like, in my brain, I was like, technically the vents weren't even like in use in the game. So why are they like a big thing right now? That comes up in FNAF 2 and 3.
Yeah. Yeah, I did think that was interesting. And a really interesting thing was the fact that like they didn't utilize the cameras really well in this movie.
The cameras, and also I was wondering about the door, because
There's
it's
only
just
one.
a swinging door, and I'm like, where's the
Yeah, and there's only one.
Yeah, and like I wanted a power outage scene.
Yeah, the one thing I saw was some complaints from fans was that there wasn't a like a Freddy like death scene, like where he the lights go out and the music plays and stuff. And I was like, that is interesting. I don't know where they could have fit it in, but like, yeah, that's one of the most famous scenes from the first game. Could have been fit in somewhere. Yeah, the only time the power went out was like when Mike like turns it off himself and then turns it back on, which was interesting. But I mean, it's not like the place was well lit though for most of the time. Yeah, that was interesting. And then yeah, there was only one door in the security office, which makes more sense. Like the original FNAF security office is really dumbly designed, so it makes sense. I did like the little what was it called, the buzzer. When somebody's at the front door, it was the noise that you make when you turn on the lights in the first game. I was like, oh, that's cool. I like that. Because like, yeah, why would he have a light switch that turns on the hallway light outside of his office? Like that doesn't make any sense. But yeah. Then do we want to move on to the next, like, do we want to just discuss the plot briefly and then kind of discuss our favorite moments, or do we want to like go beat by beat like we did in the Mario movie?
Let's just discuss the plot, because there's a lot of like nuanced things that if we talk about beat by beat, this is going to go on for 3 hours.
Yeah, and it doesn't need to. Okay, so the premise of this movie, very generally, is there's a character, Mike, who's the main character played by Josh Hutcherson. He has a little sister named Abby. And then the other two characters that actually matter are actually it's really only one, because the other character, who is a big name actor, is like not really in it, but we'll discuss him later. Is Vanessa, played by the girl from the first season of You. I don't know her name.
I think it's something like Elizabeth.
Okay. Yeah.
I can't, hold on.
But basically, Josh Hutcherson is the caregiver for his like young, probably like 8 years old, I would say, maybe younger, sister. He is kind of down on his luck. They don't specify where they live, like what state, but it's clearly like a Midwest, like middle of nowhere. There's not much going on. Houses are really far apart. There's not a lot of tall buildings, but there is a mall for a future mega pizzaplex, maybe. But the general premise is that he's down on his luck. He got fired from his most recent security job, and
Because he beat someone up.
yeah, he beat somebody up because he thought the kid was getting kidnapped, which we'll come back to talk about because it's like PTSD for him.
Yeah.
And he gets hired because he's desperate and he needs work because otherwise he'll lose his sister to his terrible aunt.
Who smells like cigarettes.
Smells like cigarettes, dude. Abby is like one of my favorite parts of the movie. She was such a good actress. She was so very, very good. But yeah, basically he has to take a night shift at a pizzaplex or a pizza place. And he knows nothing about it. He doesn't really understand like what Freddy Fazbear's is, which is interesting. But yeah, so that's basically the premise, and that's what gets him to the pizza place where shit starts happening. And then, oh yeah, I kind of went over. There's a career counselor that gets him the job, and that's Steve Raglan is his name, played by Matthew Lillard.
Matthew Lillard.
Yeah, which was great. He was really good in this movie.
He was so good.
But he was only in it for like 10 minutes, which is unfortunate. But he's kind of weird. Steve, he like doesn't want Mike to have the job at first, and then he's like, oh, you don't really have any options. And then he's like, well, I have this place. It's kind of weird. And he gives him the rundown. And yeah, the first night, I don't think like he goes there. I don't think anything happens the first night, right? No.
I don't think so.
It's just kind of weird. I think, you know what I think does happen? I think Foxy gets like really close to him, but that's it. Like he doesn't actually get into the door. But one big thing I think we should talk about is an overarching thing that happens throughout the movie, like sprinkled throughout, is his dream theory stuff that he has, which is basically Mike will listen to nature sounds and stare at a poster of Nebraska and go into a dream state that he kind of has experienced it's a bad memory basically. And his goal is he's reading about dream theory, and his goal is to have some control over the dream to kind of remember what happened in that moment because he was a kid. Did you want to talk about anything in the dream theory or anything that's like that I'm missing before we move on?
Dream theory is kind of a poke at like the hardcore like lore making people.
Yeah.
Because there's this whole theory. It's a whole like deep dive, but practically FNAF came to Scott Cawthon, if I might be like reciting this wrong, but it kind of came to him in a dream. Which is why Scott is like picking the theories and being like, this is canon. This is canon.
Yeah. What was funny is I pointed out to Nina because I thought it was just a little like Easter egg at first, because it's like the first shot of Mike is him in bed and the dream theory book is on his end table. I leaned over. I was like, oh, that's funny. You know, because there's some people that believe all of this is a dream and that's the way to solve FNAF. And then I didn't think it was going to be a whole plot point. Like I didn't think it was going to be literally like 1/3 of the movie was dream theory. And I was like, holy shit, that's so crazy.
Yeah. That was really it. I don't really know much about like the dream theory, like poking fun, because I'm not that big of a FNAF like theory person. But I know that because Million was like, dream theory. Yeah. That's a thing. That's a thing.
Yeah, it's basically like the very simple breakdown of it is that the crying child, the kid who got bit originally, everything is taking place in his dream. Like that's it. That's all it is. There's obviously more to it, but that's the simplified nature of it. do you want to talk about the dreams, the situations that he goes in when he goes back to Nebraska in his mind, or do you want me to cover that? Like, how do you want
I
to?
can talk about it.
Cool.
So the reason why he keeps going back to this is because his little brother, when
Garrett,
Mike was like
Garrett, right? Yeah.
when Mike was like 10, I want to say.
Yeah, they're very weirdly vague with ages, just like the games. Like they don't say exactly it took place in the 80s, and like there's no like specific dates anywhere or times or anything like that. It's very interesting.
Yeah, when Mike was like 10, he was on a camping trip with his family, and it's a very very picturesque nuclear family type.
Mm-hmm.
Parents, two kids, having a good like vacation camping. And his mom asks Mike to watch Garrett while he plays. Mike is like, "Yeah, of course." And then gets distracted by a frisbee, turns around, finds Garrett in the back of a car speeding away.
Mm-hmm. With an airplane. With his
airplane.
his toy airplane, which weirdly came back in a very cool way, actually.
Yeah.
I was like, dang, that was actually cool.
So he continues to go back to the whole dream theory, the way that Mike explains it in the movie, is that everything that we've seen, heard, all of our memories are stored in our brain, whether we remember it or not. We just have to access.
It's deep in our subconscious kind of thing. Like you remember everything, your brain remembers everything, but you don't, you can't like picture it basically.
Yeah. And he, not only does he listen to nature sounds and looks at the picture of Nebraska, but he also takes pills.
That's right.
To get him into that trance-like state. Because that's also a little plot point with Vanessa.
Yeah. Who we'll get into.
I'll get to that.
Yeah, she's an interesting character.
It made me a little angry when they had that talk.
Yeah,
but anyway. So he keeps going back, and then when he starts working at the pizzeria, there's 5 kids who appear in the dream.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, "Hey, did you see that guy?"
Mm-hmm.
Because his entire goal is to be able to like tell people, "I saw the guy who took my brother."
Yeah.
And try to get like, he kind of wants to change the past, but he also just wants to get like
answers.
Yeah,
and it's showcased by like there's a kid, Mike, and then when Mike is actually conscious in the dream, it switches over to Josh Hutcherson. Like that's the symbolic thing, is like when it's a kid, he's not in control and it's just playing out as his memory. And then when he is in control, it's Josh Hutcherson, like actually being in the dream, like talking to kids, talking to his parents, all that stuff. But yeah, there's the 5 kids, right? And at this point, the first time we go into I'm trying to remember if the first time we go into the dream with him, if we've seen the animatronics yet.
The first time of the dream, no.
Okay. So just to get this out of the way, there's 5 kids and 4 of them are very obvious who they are because one is wearing a bunny head, like a bunny ears. One has a pirate's hook for a hand. One's a girl which is the only
blonde hair,
which is her only like distinguishing factor in the first game. And then one is wearing a top hat. So it's clearly, the core 4 of Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, and Foxy. And then there's the 5th one, which, I mean, for fans, it's very obvious, but they don't show this character of who he actually is until much later. So we can kind of discuss that later. But he's a blonde-headed kid, and he's clearly in charge of everyone. Yeah. There's also a moment where he's asleep. Oh no, you know what? I think we do see the animatronics a little bit at this point. Because the only time they interact with him in the dream is when he falls asleep at work. And what's interesting is this is when Foxy like sneaks up on him and cuts him because he chases after Foxy in the dream. And then he gets cut in the dream and he bleeds in real life, which I thought was interesting. I was like, they never really explain if it's a situation where Foxy in real life did that, or if he gets cut in the dream, he gets cut in real life.
In real life.
Because later he gets attacked by like all of the kids. But it's also a situation where it's like, were the animatronics doing that? I don't know. That went kind of unexplained and like weird ghost powers. But yeah, that's kind of the crux of dream theory. And like the more he does it, the more he's able to talk with the kids, basically.
Until he has like a full on conversation.
Yes, he has a full on conversation with the blonde head kid. But yeah, then I'm trying to think of what else is important. Do we want to just talk about Vanessa? Because I think she shows up the second day that he's there, right?
Yeah.
And I thought I really liked that bit that they did of, you know, each day, like they did do all 5 nights, which I thought was cute.
Yeah. And they progressed in difficulty, like the game.
Yeah, like the first night's just one animatronic, nothing really happens. And then it got more and more difficult. But yeah, the second day, a cop shows up who's blonde haired and named Vanessa, which if you listen to our security breach episode is a brand new character that was basically just introduced fully in security breach. So the fact that she's showing up in the first Five Nights at Freddy's movie that's based on the first game is like, all right, cool. We're going off the beaten path here. But she's a cop that I never believed was a cop the whole movie. I didn't think she was a cop at all. But yeah, what was your thoughts on Vanessa? It seemed like when we mentioned her earlier, you had some stuff.
Like we'll get into this later, but when she's like, I can't go in there. When Mike is like, you're coming with me to go back in there.
Mm-hmm.
And she explains the whole reason why she doesn't want to go in.
Yeah.
I was like, that's a little cheap.
Yeah. I was expecting in that climax, because she does show up and like quote unquote saves the day. I thought there was going to be some like wild shit that happens as the reason why she couldn't go in there, like couldn't face the big bad of this movie. But then it was nothing. I was like, all right.
Yeah, it was like, she's like, I can't go in there. And I was like, oh, okay. But then I was like, because I strongly believed in the theories of like William's wife, like training Vanessa to be, it's a big theory.
Yeah.
Of like Gregory being the crying child's replacement.
Yeah.
Yada, yada, yada. And like, I was like, I believe that Vanessa is like a replacement for the daughter. Like that makes sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
And then when that was revealed, when the whole thing in the movie was revealed, I was like, okay, they're just taking a buzzword name and just like plopping it in there.
But they did. I did. Yeah, we'll discuss the Afton family and the Schmidt family because I have some thoughts on that. But yeah, she's a weird character. She shows up, kind of gives like exposition dumps on Mike and us about what FNAF is, or like what Freddy's Fazbear's Pizza Place is. And basically says that there was an incident with kids going missing in the 80s and they never found the bodies and it was shut down. Interesting tidbit of like, if you're listening to this and you've never heard anything about FNAF and whatnot, and you're like, why the hell is this pizza place still like needing to be guarded? The Steve Raglan, the career counselor, does a decent job of being like, yeah, the owner is a bit,
just can't seem to let it go.
Yeah. So he owns it still, like the owner still owns it, and is keeping it open for whatever fucking reason. So that's why, if you're wondering like, why is this place not just shut down if kids went missing there? It's like, well, it's shut down, but for whatever reason, the
electricity's still kicking.
Yep. But yeah, that's Vanessa in a nutshell. She kind of shows up unexpectedly, to like help / hurt / confuse. Like she's just kind of she's a minor antagonist / protagonist. I'm sure there's a specific name like that goes with that. But
Antagonist.
antagonist, she's antagonist. But then there's another like subplot of the shitty aunt that we discussed earlier is she's trying to get Abby. Because the reason why Mike theorizes is that she just wants the money from the state, which, as somebody who works with foster youth, that does happen. But the whole thing is she hires two people. I think one's name is Max, and then
Max.
and I don't know
her brother's name.
Yeah, but basically,
it's something like Jeff or like a regular name. No offense to any Jeffs out there.
Yeah, no, I mean it's a basic name. But Max, it's interesting because this was a reveal. She's been babysitting Abby while Mike is working. So the fact that it's revealed that she's been like looking throughout that house trying to find like dirt on Mike so that he loses Abby, and it's revealed that she's like a bad person, but not really. I still don't think she's a bad person. I think she's just somebody that wants money and did this, and then
I think she was just on hard times.
Yeah, and I'm very curious because Max, I'm pretty sure, is a name of somewhat importance in the future of FNAF. So I think I have a feeling she might come back in some way. I'm not sure how, but yeah, they get hired by the aunt to go break in during the day into the pizza place, and destroy everything to get Mike fired. And if he doesn't have a job, this is probably his last shot. He'll lose Abby. And this is where basically 90% of the deaths, because there's one in the beginning, one at the end, and all of the deaths in this movie happened in this scene.
In this scene specifically.
3 or no, there's 4. There's 4 people because it's Max,
her brother, and then 2 other guys.
Yeah, their names are Easter eggs, I believe. But did you notice the skinny guy's shirt?
The Midnight Motorist shirt?
Yeah, I thought that was sick. I was like, oh, that's cool. But yeah, there's basically they're doing classic smash and grab, stealing stuff, breaking stuff. And then the animatronics activate, which I thought was interesting because not once has any Five Nights at Freddy's game taken place in the middle of the day. I always thought they weren't able to move around during the day. So I was like, okay, cool. We're establishing some new rules here. But basically they all get killed. The skinny guy gets killed by a cupcake and Chica. Then there's a older guy there with a big beard. Hank?
His name's Hank.
Okay. What's the skinny guy's name? Because I feel like there was
Carl.
Carl. That's the Easter egg. So he gets killed by the cupcake, which is a whole other thing that I need to discuss later. But Carl apparently is the not canon name for the cupcake. Yeah, the cupcake's name is Carl. So that's what's funny about that. Kind of confirms it too, basically. Like if Scott was like, because apparently based off of Matt Pat's video this morning that I watched, Scott was very specific with names in this movie because he wanted Matt Pat's name on his name tag. He's like, the name has to be Ness, which is an Easter egg to Matt Pat's very split and controversial. I don't think it's controversial. The internet does. Of Sans is Ness from Earthbound theory from a long time ago. So he was very specific about names, which kind of leads into like, okay, if the cupcake kills Carl,
then it's Carl who's...
Well, Carl's the cupcake. Like, yeah, it's just kind of... But the cupcake's interesting.
It's very interesting.
It's its own entity, which it's never been its own entity except in Five Nights at Freddy's 4, where it's a nightmare. That's the only thing. Mm-hmm. But I like the theory that the theory that that's Susie, who is the girl that's possessing Chica. That's her dog. Because if you remember in Five Nights at Freddy's 6, aka Pizza Simulator,
Mm.
um, the the fruit maze, the fruity maze mini game.
Mm.
That's where Susie dies, and that's the end of that is when she's like she sees her dead dog all over the place. So if they
Yeah.
both died at the same time, it would kind of make sense. And that the cupcake behaves like an animal, so it kind of makes sense.
um, this is just like, you know what? Never mind. I'll touch on it when we get to that part.
Okay. I mean,
I
if you
seem to
want to talk
remember.
about the cupcake's fucking a killer. Like he killed more people in this movie than anybody else. It's pretty wild,
Um,
actually.
I'll just say there's a part where Mike is getting chased by the cupcake,
Hmm.
and it starts biting his ankle.
Hmm.
And I saw a TikTok where it was like, as soon as I saw the Chica child in the dreams, I knew she was an ankle biter.
That's so funny. She's an ankle biter, like literally. Um, I'm trying to remember. Oh yeah, we kind of skipped over something that is showcased during the first scene with Vanessa. Um, because oh no, was it the first scene or was it? Yeah, it had to have been because the people hadn't died yet. But they showcase a spring trap suit,
Oh
or not
yeah,
a spring trap, a spring lock suit. Um, and this one looks specifically or suspiciously like baby, circus baby, a little bit. But
no,
yeah,
that one's actually from the books. It's
yeah.
from the third book.
What's its name? I forget. Is it
Um,
Ella or something like that?
hold on. I remember it because I was like, I was looking at like all the books to see if any of the front page
Hmm.
animatronics would go. Because I know people were like, if you know the books, you'll know certain things that people who didn't read the books don't know.
Yeah,
And so I was like, I want to at least see like, I think it was book three.
of Fazbear Frights.
Oh, I just got the entire book in PDF.
I believe it.
It is book three. Hold on, I just can't find her fucking name.
I know it's like Ella or something like that. Yeah, it's Ella.
Ella.
Yeah, I thought she was like a small doll though, which was interesting. But whatever. Um, so yeah, they show the like they introduce what a spring lock is, and a spring lock is basically a suit that can house a person or an animatronic like endoskeleton on the inside to work as a costume or a animatronic. And they show that it's very interesting. It looks like an Iron Maiden a little bit. It's got like just like grippy little hands where the ribs are basically, and they show that like Vanessa sticks a broomstick in there and it breaks. So,
That's later.
but that's the first time they show it. So that's what I'm remembering because Mike is pissed that Abby could find that. So this is during the um
That's during the Faz Gang.
yeah, the
That's
Faz gang.
later.
Yeah. So that's what I was curious about because I'm like in that scene um the people have already died at that point, right?
Hmm.
And what's her face? This is what I was getting to. Basically, during that break-in scene, uh, Carl gets
Max.
killed uh, by the cupcake and Chica. Then Hank runs away. He runs into a broom closet, gets killed by Bonnie. And then, did you see what the brother's name was by any chance?
I did not. Hold on. Hold on.
No, you're good.
Click like five different things just to find Cass.
Yeah, it's weird. I typed in like just FNAF cast and like Hank and Carl are there, but this dude is not. Like Max is there. Everyone's there.
It's not.
Just not him. And I'm like, I recognized him. I've seen him in movies before. So it's not like, yeah, it's Jeff. Okay. It's Jeff. So when Hank gets killed by Bonnie, Jeff sees that, then he runs away, and then he runs away and gets cornered and then thrown into what does he get put in the grinder thing? Or how does he get killed? Forget.
I think it was.
Is it just Foxy that kills him?
I think it was just Foxy.
Okay.
Cause yeah, cause he's running towards the door. He's like, "Fuck!"
Yeah, that exit door that doesn't work.
but sometimes does, but
Yeah.
sometimes doesn't.
Very interesting. And then Max is waiting outside in the car and she goes looking. And then that's where she doesn't see anybody. But then honestly, the creepiest bit of the movie for me was when the blonde haired kid from Mike's Dreams is like there and like, come on, follow me. And I'm like, oh
Over
God,
here.
I hate that. I hate that.
It was like the sound system in FNAF 3. Over here.
Yeah, you're right. 100%.
Warmer. I was like, oh my God.
I
Oh my
didn't,
God.
I didn't even catch that. That's good. That is true. But then she gets led into past the rusted gate that's somewhere in this pizza place. And she goes through there and she's in the back room and there's a Freddy, like suit basically, or animatronic or something being hung up. And she has to like, and he's like, that's where he's saying like warmer. And she like gets grabbed by a ghost hand and pulled into Freddy's mouth and then gets cut in half. She is bisected by Freddy's mouth. That is the scene where it's just a silhouette and you just see her legs like plump onto the ground. I was like, whoa, holy crap. But yeah, so that's all those deaths happen and the place is wrecked and everything. But this is where I thought was interesting because I was like, if she's dead at that point, she's put into the Shadow Freddy suit that's next to Sparky, the dog. Did your friends freak out about Sparky? Because my whole theater did. Yeah. I had no idea who the fuck that was until I got home.
Yeah, we all freaked out about it.
Okay. Yeah, I guess I missed that Sparky boat, but do you want to give an explanation on what that is?
I'm going to be honest. I just know it by like, because me and my roommate, like a couple weeks ago, we watched an 8-hour long, like, all the Five Nights at Freddy's lore explained.
I saw that floating around. That's so funny.
It's like the shortest video about Five Nights at Freddy's, and it's 8 hours long. We watched it. And so it touched on all the old animatronics and like things about the books and stuff.
Gotcha.
No, but sidebar. I know we talked about experiences at the beginning of the episode, but my theater, like, you would have expected the group of 10 of us in the front to be like the most like loud. We were not. Our like I had to like not I didn't like turn to anyone specifically and went like shh. But specifically when Matt Pat came up,
yeah,
everyone was like, oh my God, like the entire crowd was like, oh my God, and I was like shh. And then he said, that's just a theory. Then it went insane in there.
That's so funny. Yeah, my whole theater was like freaking out that I barely heard the it's just a theory line. Which was very funny. I thought it was very well like written into it. It's like, oh, you guys here for the most important meal of the day, lunch? And they're like, I thought breakfast was. Well, that's just a theory. I was like, that's really funny. But yeah, that was great. His little cameo was fun. But yeah, there was a couple things. There was the overall ending, and then I'm trying to think of what else like made people like freak out. Did your audience applaud at the end of the movie?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, mine too. I was like, guys, I don't know if it's worth applause, but cool. And then my whole like I feel like 70% of my theater left immediately when the credits started, and I was like, what?
And they missed so many important things.
Yeah, but I'm just like, come on, don't like, are you that dumb? Like, have you been to a movie before? But yeah, so my whole thing was with Sparky. If you know about it, like it's basically it's just like it was a hoax that there was a fifth animatronic or a sixth animatronic, I guess, in the original FNAF game. That somebody very like very well done edited into a screenshot. And then so there's a Sparky animatronic in the back rooms basically, which was kind of crazy. And then the restaurant that Matt Pat worked at was called Sparky's as well.
Sparky's, and it had the sign was a dog tag.
Yeah, so pretty cool for the people that made that hoax. And then yeah, that's what I was getting at. So there's 3 animatronics suits in the back room. There's well, I guess maybe it's because Ella wasn't in the back room at that point. Maybe
She was in like the storeroom.
Yeah, because when they find Max's body, it's Sparky, a shadow Freddy, which is like, why is that here? Why does that exist? But like whatever. And then Ella's right next to it. So that's why I was like, wait, if he found Ella and then there should have been a body sticking out of one of those animatronics. But yeah, thank you for helping me remember that. Yeah, she was in the like storage room where they get the tablecloths. Okay, so we finished with the scene of everyone dying, and then that's when Vanessa starts. No, go ahead.
Yeah, this is the part where Vanessa really got on my fucking nerves.
She got really aggro after this, like really aggressive, which was weird.
So after the break-in and 4 people fucking die in there, Vanessa goes to Mike's house and is like, hey, some people broke in. And he's like, but I locked up.
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean? And she's like, do you remember these? And it's his sleeping pills.
Yeah, which is weird that he left them at work.
But he's like, oh, those help me sleep. And she's like, well, when you're on these, then you're too loopy to remember to lock a door, and you put people's lives in danger. That's crazy.
Yeah, she's like, that's criminal negligence. And I'm like,
yeah.
I'm like, hold on. Why are you so angry right now? And why were you in, like, so she clearly went into the Freddy Fazbear's, and then so it's basically like confirmed at that point, like she cleaned up those bodies. Like later on, it's definitely like confirmed she had to have. Like the animatronics aren't going to clean up those bodies. They don't give a fuck. Like, so she, cleaned up all of the bodies that are in there, and then she missed some blood on the door of the broom closet.
But Mike's like, listen, can we just like take a walk where my sister cannot hear what I'm about to disclose to you?
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, fine, I guess. And so Mike discloses to Vanessa about his dreams and how like he wants to figure it out, stuff like that. And then she's like, that's understandable, but you can't change the past. Mm-hmm. He's like, yeah, I'm just trying to find out like the other information. She's like, I understand. And then throws his pills away.
Yeah.
And their prescription.
Their prescription into a river, which is not only littering, but it's polluting. And that is not the correct way to dispose of pills. She is a police officer. Like, I was like, hold on, what the fuck is happening? Why is a cop throwing somebody else's pills into a river, which is probably that place's water source? Like, I was like, hold on, this is weird. This is where I was like, she's not a cop. There's no fucking way she's actually a cop. And I still, there is only one scene in this whole movie that made me convinced she was a cop, and I still don't believe it. And like, yeah, that was so weird. But yeah,
their weird tension throughout the entire movie. Like it's obvious that they're like love interests, which is really weird to me.
Mm-hmm.
Like when Vanessa first shows up and is helping Mike with his Foxy wound,
mm-hmm.
she's like, I'm a certified EMT. If your heart ever goes out, I'm the one you want to call. And I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, that was weird. Yeah, that was the first scene. Yeah, so that is the second night, and that's where he does get like attacked by Foxy, and Abby is not there at that point.
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, Vanessa is such a weird and interesting character. Like, there's so many things that I'm so curious about that they could do with Vanessa, but she was also just like not that good of a character in this movie because like she was just so confusing. But down the line, she could be like one of the most interesting characters because there's so many different ways they could go with the character.
Yeah. And also my thing is this movie is set in 2000, in the year 2000.
Yeah.
But Security Breach is set in 2023.
Mm-hmm.
She cannot have stayed that youth unless it's like a Vanessa Jr.
I don't know. So that's the thing. Like, I don't know if they'll ever touch on the Pizzaplex stuff or anything like that. Like, they might just be hopping around and doing. Because the other thing is, like, the ending of this movie takes place in the year 2000, and the event that is being recreated from the games takes place in like the 80s. So there's going to be some weird timeline stuff happening for sure. But yeah, I don't think I'm very curious where they'll go from here, and I'm fine with it because like the story is still not confirmed. So like just make good movies kind of thing, I guess.
Yeah.
But then so we have the deaths, we have Vanessa getting all aggro, and then since Max is dead, this forces Abby to come with Mike to the pizza place. I keep calling it the pizza place because I got used to that. But yeah, so that's when Abby starts showing up. She's brought to the pizza place, and she is sleeping there with Mike, and they both fall asleep. And
a really sad line
mm-hmm.
or like moment was Abby loves pillow forts.
Mm-hmm.
Like she has a pillow fort always set up in her room, and they make a little pillow fort for her in the security office. And Mike's like, don't leave the security office. Like, you're staying in here.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, are you okay? And she goes, it's like we're camping.
Yeah, that was really sad.
Mike, like, has this, like, look of, like, sadness on his face. And, like, also, like, what the fuck? What do you mean? What do you mean?
Yeah, which is kind of like, revealed later about why she would say something like that. Because, yeah, Abby has some powers or something. There's something weird with Abby.
She has the power of friendship.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, there's also a scene where we're forgetting Abby's like whole character, like up until this point, is that she's a cute kid that doesn't talk to people, and she
only draws
a lot. And there's a scene where Mike is talking with her, and he sits on her friend on her bed, which is like, oh, okay, cool, whatever. She's got imaginary friends. And later that is like really explained, and it's like, what the fuck, Abby? Like, but we'll get to that. So yeah, she's there, and Mike falls asleep, and I'm trying to remember the pivotal moments of. Oh, that's right.
He needs to go to the bathroom.
Well, no, when Mike falls asleep, he's in the dream. And I'm pretty sure this is the point where there's only one kid there now, and it's just the blonde-haired kid.
Yeah.
Which was like, oh shit. Like, wait, hold on.
Where are the others?
Yeah. And I don't remember exactly what happens, but like, I'm sure we'll cover it, like basically like what happens eventually. But yeah, Abby wakes up and goes to the bathroom, and then she is quote unquote attacked by the animatronics.
All four of them.
All four.
All surround her.
Yeah. And Mike comes and finds her, and she's like, stop, no, stop. And she's being tickled.
And she's screaming,
yeah.
like bloody murder.
Yeah. So she's just being tickled by 4 possessed animatronics, which I was like, huh, okay. I mean, these animatronics have been known in the games to be friendly towards kids, which makes sense because they're children.
They're kids.
But what did you think of this scene? I'm very curious what you thought of this scene.
I know a lot of people didn't like it because it kind of like, if you didn't look into it too heavily, it didn't make sense. For context of what the scene is, at least what I think he's getting at is the pillow fort, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So
wait,
Vanessa
no.
also
this is just the first. Is Vanessa here at this?
Day.
Yeah, this is the third night where Abby has to come, and it's just shown that.
Oh yeah,
she's just friendly with the animatronics, which I was like,
and then also the animatronics like turn to Mike, and their eyes
go red.
Their eyes are a whole thing.
Yeah.
But their eyes go red, which means like they want to kill.
Mm-hmm.
But then Abby's like, no, guys, this is my brother. He's cool.
Yeah.
And then they just kind of like look at him, blink, and then they're back to normal.
Yeah, which I was like, sick. I mean,
and then
how is this gonna? How is this movie gonna get scary again now? But I thought they did a good job of that later.
And then Mike was like, okay, time to go, Abby. Let's go.
Yeah.
And then they leave.
Yeah, that's basically the. It was so funny. I leaned over to Nina. I was like, "It's got to be like when he woke up." I was like, "It's got to be like 4 a.m." And then it showed the the clock, and it was 4 a.m. I was like, "Oh, hey, I nailed it." All right, sick. But yeah, then it goes to the next day, and I don't think they really address it too much. But then yeah, it comes back. Like I don't remember what happens in between then, but it comes back the next day. So this is the fourth night, I believe. And then that's when the pillow fort thing happens.
Yeah.
Because this time I think Vanessa shows up with them, right? And
I think so.
Because this is when Abby runs in and she's like, "Oh, hey, everybody." And like, they're just sick.
Oh, Vanessa's. Yeah.
She's
Vanessa
there
was
already.
like waiting there.
Yeah.
And then Abby runs past Vanessa's like, "Hi, Vanessa. Hey, guys." And then Vanessa's like, "You brought your sister to a place that children went missing?"
Yeah.
He's like, "I don't have, my babysitter hasn't been responding."
Yeah. There's no other choice. But yeah, she just runs in and like the animatronics are like there already and like good to go. I'm trying to remember. Actually, isn't when Abby's sleeping, this was where when she goes to sleep, I think Mike goes and cleans up the pizza place, right?
That was the night before.
Yeah, that's when he cleans up the pizza place. That's when I said, I was like, it's got to be like 4 a.m. So like, why is he going to sleep right now? Because he's only got like 2 more hours on his shift. But yeah, I thought that was interesting. I was like, oh, okay, cool. They're showing that like he's
he is keeping the place tidy as his contract said.
Yeah, and then like I'm sure that's helpful to the animatronics because yeah, I'm remembering that because obviously it needs to be clean for the pillow fort to happen.
But yeah, the pillow fort. This is where a lot of people are like, "This doesn't make sense." But if you like really look into it, it does make sense.
Mm-hmm.
People are like, the animatronics aren't supposed to be friendly. They're friendly because a kid is there.
Mm-hmm.
Like their main goal. Also, the puppet's not there, but puppet's not introduced until third game or second game.
But yeah, that's I got some stuff on that I'm thinking about, but we'll discuss that after.
But like the animatronics' main goal is to make sure that no other kid goes through what they went through.
Mm-hmm.
They're trying to make sure that Abby's having a good time. And also it turns out later in the movie, they want Abby.
Yeah, they do. Well, yes, they do. At least one of them does.
We'll touch on that later.
Yeah. That's kind of the climax of the movie, basically.
Abby's like, "Guys, I need your guys' help," to everyone, the animatronics and the 2 people. And they're like, "What do you need help with?" And she puts down her notebook, and it's a big fort with like chairs stacked up on each other.
Yeah. And this is where we're introduced to the spring lock suit for the first time.
Yeah. She's like, "It needs to be big." And literally the animatronics just start putting chairs on top of tables.
Yeah.
And by the end of it, it's a very funny sequence of them like building things together, and then Bonnie just like
falls, and then gives the thumbs up. Yeah, that was incredible. I was like, all right, for sure. But yeah, I liked this scene too. Like I thought it was fun.
It was a nice, like, you can take a breath here. Nothing's gonna happen.
It's also important to like note that the animatronics in these games are not the bad guy. Like the overarching story, they are not the bad guy. The bad guy is the owner of the pizza place. Like it's Michael Afton or William Afton. Sorry, Michael Afton is a whole other thing. But yeah, it's the kid. These are children or spirits that are trapped inside of animatronics, and really not until you have something like the mimic from Ruin is there even like considered an evil animatronic, I would say. So I thought it was important to showcase like, yeah, these are not evil things. Like they're just lost children stuck inside of, animatronic corpses basically. So I thought that was at least good to note. Was it a little campy? Sure, but whatever. It was fun.
This is where I got like a soft spot for Vanessa. Was they were all laying down in a like all their heads facing like all together
Mm-hmm.
in a circle, and what's Abby was like, "This is a good fort, but I think it's gonna rain soon."
Mm-hmm.
And Vanessa, without skipping a beat, was like, "Sounds like we need a roof."
Yeah.
I was like, "That's so like
Cute.
so cute that she just like beat like." Allows Abby to have her like imagination.
Yeah, it was nice. Well, yeah, another thing we kind of like skipped over with Vanessa is that the reason she knows so much, the reason she says that she knows so much about Freddy's Pizza Place is that she grew up like going there and like loved that place as a kid. So that's why she knows like all about Freddy and all them. But where it got weird was exactly this scene where she's like,
She just casually goes into the storeroom.
yeah, and knew that that's where they kept the
Tablecloth.
and that's where I was like, she's the daughter for sure. Like, there's no way she's not. Because what fucking kid that's 8 years old is going to know where they keep the tablecloths of all things, or the med kit for that matter? Like,
Yeah.
that one, I guess I could see where like somebody got hurt or she got hurt while she was there and she got taken to where the med kit is. That one, I guess. But like, no kid's going to know where the tablecloth is, like at a pizza place. That's weird.
Yeah.
So that's where we are introduced to Ella, the doll, who is a spring lock suit, which is what we explained earlier. And they stick a broom in there and it snaps it in half. And that's where Mike gets all pissed.
Mike is like about to touch it. She's like, "Don't do that. That's
Yeah.
a spring lock." Explains it. And she's like, "Watch." Shoves a broomstick like right into it. And then it snaps the broomstick. And Mike's like, "What the fuck? Why are you letting my sister like be around things like that?"
Yeah. Yeah, that was weird. I was like, yeah, that's a good point. Why is this here? Why is this in the storeroom and not in the back? And then it somehow gets brought to the back. I don't know how, but it does eventually get brought to the back. I guess I'm guessing, I'm just assuming that, either it's Vanessa or the owner that comes back to like move things around, because things do get moved around occasionally.
Yeah.
After that, they go home, right? There's nothing really. That's a pretty chill night. Oh no, Abby gets fucking electrocuted. That's right.
Yeah. They're all having a dance party.
Because when they come back from the storeroom, yeah.
She walks up to Bonnie, and Bonnie has a little quirk where every time he strums, he short circuits and zaps the entire fucking stage, and they go down for the night.
Mm-hmm. Did it say that really?
No, but that's what happens every single time. Like, when Mike first hit the "It's showtime" button, the same thing happened where Bonnie strummed, and then the zaps went flying, and then the curtains closed.
I totally missed that. That's a good catch. I literally didn't notice that before.
Yeah. And that's why Vanessa also, it was Vanessa who hit the "It's showtime" button.
Yeah.
Mike. But it was the first time Mike saw it.
Mm-hmm.
That's why Vanessa was like, "Don't touch it, Abby! Stop!" But it was too late, and she was, and then sparks fly.
And she somehow,
Abby gets sent to the floor.
And she somehow doesn't die.
Die.
Yeah, that was, and then that's when Vanessa gets angry again, and like, you shouldn't have brought. And I'm like, bro, you are all over the place. And then that's where she says to never bring Abby back, right?
She's like, "If you bring her back here, I will I will shoot you.
That's right. Just fully fucking aggro. Because I think at one point when they're in the back room, Mike kind of discloses more about the dreams and how they're like stronger when he's there and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting thing. And then this is when they go back and Abby is sleeping and he finds the drawing, right, of her and her friends, right? This was
Yeah.
that point. Okay.
And then he sits her down and he's like, "Can you tell me about this?"
Yeah.
And she's like, "Those are my friends."
Yeah. To give context, there's a drawing of Abby with 5 kids that are all depicted exactly like the 5 kids in Mike's dreams. So that's where we're like, wait, she's been communicating with these kids all the way back at her house. That's where I'm like, what? That's my biggest thing is like, I have a very minor, almost no evidence theory, but like, how are they communicating with her all the way? And this has clearly been going on prior to him working at the pizza place. So I'm like,
because you could see pictures taped up on her wall of them. If you just pay close enough attention, you can see it.
Yeah, that's where I'm like, I don't get it. But I do have a theory that I think would be pretty cool. But we'll discuss that after the movie is like, we're done with it. Then I'm trying to think what else happens.
Mike explains, he's like, we had a brother. His name was Garrett. And she's like, yeah, my friends told me about him.
Yeah.
And that's when I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, that was so that's why it's like she had to have known about the camping. Like, so when she said that, she had to have known if the kids are talking to her.
Yeah.
Which is another weird thing. It's like, what the fuck? Like, Abby, what are you? Like, I leaned over to Nina. I was like, this kid has the fucking Shining. Like, what the fuck? She's just communicating with like dead kids like miles away. It's so weird. But then this is where he calls the aunt, right? And they are forced to, she's forced to stay with the aunt and, what's it called?
He scribbles Mike out of all the pictures.
Yes. She like goes on all of the drawings she's ever drawn of Mike and like scribbles them out, which is like, you know, I was like, okay. So this is how the tension comes back because now the animatronics are going to be aggro towards him again. Because before it's like, yeah, this would be the easiest job in the world for him if Abby is like, yeah, he's cool. And then they just never attack him again kind of thing.
She hates her aunt. She smells like cigarettes. Mike's like, I'm glad we can agree on one thing.
Yeah, it's really funny.
But his aunt gives Mike papers to just sign his rights away to give Abby away. He doesn't, but he puts them in a drawer.
Mm-hmm.
Abby tries opening the drawer to get the Five Nights at or the Freddy's Pizza Place security badge toy. Opens a drawer, finds the papers, and it's like, "Don't give me away! Don't give me away! I don't want to even talk to her. I don't want to see her." And then he, like 2 nights later, he calls his aunt. Is like, "Hey, can you? I need your help. I need you to watch Abby."
Yeah.
And Abby thinks that Mike's giving her away.
Yeah, which is
why she's like, "I hate you," and scribbles him out.
Yeah. And so then he goes to work, obviously.
During the day.
Yeah.
He goes during the day.
Yeah, I was going to say, because the climax is about to happen, and that takes place during the night. So I'm curious. I'm trying to remember what happens. I'm like, I know.
He goes to the pizza place during the day. No, before he goes to pizza place, he gets his prescription refilled.
That's right.
He goes to the pizza place, goes to sleep, and this is where the kids.
Oh, this is where he gets attacked. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And then,
which terrified the fuck out of me when Chica just like appeared there. I was like, oh.
Yeah, there's one thing we didn't discuss was during these dreams, there's a lot of times where the kids don't have faces.
Yes.
That was sick. That was a sick little like. There's nothing like drawing attention to it. There's nothing like that. It's just like they don't have faces for a blink, and you're like, oh god, that's unsettling. I like that. That's like my favorite type of horror. Is like you're not being jump scared. You're not being. Oh yeah. Speaking of jump scares, there's 3 in this movie, and they're all a little balloon boy figure, and it's stupid.
And they got me every single time.
Really, that's so funny. That was one of my favorite nods to the game because I told Nina, she's like, yeah, I thought those jump scares were really funny. I was like, they're more annoying than anything else, and I was like, that's literally what Balloon Boy is in the game.
That is what
He can't kill you. He's just annoying.
I was anticipating whenever they like looked at a vent. I was like, okay, someone's gonna pop out of there. I wasn't expecting it to be in a locker behind a door.
Yeah, or in a cab in the final bit. Yeah, that was really, really funny. So this is where he's asleep, he's getting attacked, and then that's when Vanessa, again, why? How does she know she's there? He's like dying, and she comes
bleeding
in.
out.
Yeah, and so he wakes up in a again, quote unquote, a police like
outpost.
Yeah, which I'm like, okay, this is the first time that you're actually using, besides the car, which obviously is hard to steal, is like, this is the first time that I'm like, okay, this is the actual, like, a cop thing. But again, it's just a room, right?
It's just a room with a dingy ass, like, mattress in the middle. Like it kind of looks like a mental, like, patient facility.
Yeah. And then,
like, mattress.
And then the other thing that, like, he gets quote unquote weapons. He gets tasers and cattle prods, all things you can buy yourself. So,
and the taser comes on his security belt.
Yeah.
So that was, and she was like, we use these for animal control. Police don't deal with animal control.
Yeah, it was really weird.
Animal control deals with animal control.
And then she gives him the police car. And I'm like, that's a felony. Like, I'm like,
you can't
hold on.
let a civilian
So
take a police car.
That was very strange to me. And I'm like, okay, is she a cop or is she not? But basically, so in the meantime, while this is happening, a animatronic shows up to Mike and Abby's house, and it does move, right? Like, we see it move.
Yeah.
Which is its own problem. But it's standing there, and it's a bear, but it's yellow, and it has a black top hat.
And it has a blue eye.
And it has one blue eye. And it gets into the house and somehow and kills the aunt, which is not addressed. But then Abby hears it and comes out, and it turns out that that's the blonde-haired boy, which, if you don't know, he's Golden Freddy, which is like one of the most iconic characters in FNAF. It's a rare character that shows up in FNAF 1 and 2, and then in later games it shows up more regularly.
Yeah.
But in FNAF 1 and 2, it's just a suit. It's a spring lock suit, but there's no animatronic in it, so it doesn't move. It just appears like a ghost, and doesn't have any physical movement at all like the other things. So to have it be moving around and standing up, of all things, what I thought was really interesting. So I'm like, okay, where is the suit? If it's the kid is clearly one of the killed kids, like my thought was he's killed outside of he's the first victim, and he's outside of, well, actually I think Garrett might be the first victim, but we'll get to that. He's killed outside of the Pizzaplex, and I think that's why he couldn't
move outside.
Yeah, he can move outside, and he could be, he never enters the pizza place as Golden Freddy, just as the little boy. So I thought that was interesting. I was like, there's a lot of changes to Golden Freddy, but I'm like, whatever. Golden Freddy's a mystery anyways, like, have some fun with it. So
the funny thing about Golden Freddy was when he was just like standing in the house.
Yeah.
I turned to my roommate and I go, Sans?
Yeah.
he was backlit, so he was more of a silhouette than anything.
Mhm.
And you just see the bright blue eye, which obviously, like, for anyone who knows the lore, it's Golden Freddy. But like,
Yeah.
I was like, silence,
Yeah.
silence.
For real. That is a funny little thought I didn't have. We did miss the right before the Mike gets cut up and stuff. It is a whole scene with he's actually able to
Giving.
Yeah. It's basically, we don't have to describe the scene too much, but it's basically like he sees a different dream for the first time. And the kid that is Golden Freddy is saying, I can give you this dream every night. I can make this a reality. All we need is Abby. And in a moment of weakness, Mike says yes, but then like realizes really quickly after that, like, no, that's not what I want. I don't want to give up Abby to have a dream like this. But the spirits have already like accepted the yes. And so that's why
And
Golden Freddy's come to get Abby.
yeah, they accepted the yes. And then he's like, no, stay away from my sister, which it was a little funny to me when he just like screamed, stay away from my sister.
Yeah, it was an interesting line delivery by an actor who's fairly good. I was like, all right, Josh.
But it zooms out, and for a split second, the opening in the trees shows a bunny.
Yeah, I thought, okay, I was looking at that. I like tilted my head because I was like, they're lingering on this shot for a little bit, but I couldn't put it together. So it was a bunny.
It was a bunny. It was a bunny suit, like you know.
Yeah, Springlock. Yeah, that's interesting. I had a feeling, I was like, there's something here, but I'm missing it. But that's why he gets attacked, and then he's brought out, and then Abby is... This is another weird thing. Who the fuck called that cab for them? So this is a comedic moment.
They get into a cab with Corey X Kenshin. He's a cab driver.
I didn't know who that was, so I just knew it was a YouTuber because I heard that.
I knew it was a YouTuber. I did not know who he was.
Yeah.
But the thing, who called the cab? Because I know any cab driver would not pick up a little kid like Abby.
8 to 10-year-old child. Yeah.
Hi, can you please pick up at this address?
Yeah.
Like, who called that cab? And 2, why did the cab driver just accept that Golden Freddy was in there? Because, like, the cab moves down, and he's like, what the? Turns around, sees Golden Freddy next to Abby, and he's like, why do I always get the weirdos?
Yeah, I'm like, this man is too tall.
Like wires coming out of his eye. That's not a person.
Yeah, that was very strange, but like whatever. It was a fairly comedic little bit there. But then that's when Abby gets brought to the pizza place, and obviously Mike is not there because he's being patched up. And then I think it's Chica, right? Chica's the one that takes her over there.
Starts leading her down.
Yeah, to the back rusted gate that's somewhere in this pizza place. Like I said, I would love to see the layout of this fucking place because like it's confusing outside of the main place and the security room. Like that's the only places I can like actually put together in my head. But then on the table is the Ella Springlock suit. And she tries
grabs Chica grabs Abby and starts trying to put her in the suit. And Abby's like, no, I don't want to do that. No, why are you doing this? Chica, please stop. Stop.
And during this scene, it is when Mike is showing up and systematically taking down the animatronics.
Yeah. Which the first way he took down Bonnie and Freddy was so cool to me.
I thought it was great too. I thought it was really smart. I thought it was stupid that he used the what's it called?
Taser gun?
The taser gun and not the cattle prod, but yeah. Could have saved that shot. But yeah, he sneaks in, and then I did like the whip that Freddy does when he looks to see. He's like really quickly and then goes back to singing. But yeah, he like pours water onto the stage and then zaps them while because Foxy is Foxy down at this point already, and he gets back up later, or is Foxy not, I forget because Foxy chases Abby later, but
No, Foxy's Pirates Cove was
Okay. Close.
curtained off.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, he takes out Bonnie and Freddy very easily. He just has to sneak up. And then he then saves Abby from that. And then that's where he sees Max is dead in that back room. And then he sees wait, am I missing?
And then it's they're running out.
There's a point in time where Mike is in that contraption though. I'm trying to remember where that's at.
Oh.
Right? Remember? He's there. He escapes. He like slides out. Is that during the scene where Vanessa saves him? Like at the end of he gets out of the contraption like the original security guard was trying to get out. He gets out that way.
Yes, it's where he's bleeding out from all the cuts.
Yeah, and that's where
he's got the cuts, and then he wakes up in the thing.
Okay,
and
so there's
that bit.
There's that bit that we kind of missed, but it's whatever. The point's still like we still got to the same point. And then I'm trying to think what happens next. Is this where?
This is where they're running. So Abby and Mike. Oh, we missed a whole thing.
Okay.
In the outpost where Vanessa's patching up Mike, she's like, here's your stuff. Electricity, short circuits the animatronics. They're down for a while.
Yeah.
Should give you enough time. And he's like, you're coming with me.
Yeah, that's right.
And she's like, no, I can't. Because that's my dad.
Yeah, the guy. Because, yeah, he
the
mentions.
Owner's my dad.
Yeah, she mentions that, like, he knows what you're doing now and he'll come to, like, get you.
Yeah. He knows that you know. And he won't stop until you're gone.
Yeah. And then she shows a picture of her as a kid with the yellow Bonnie suit. And she's holding an airplane toy. And that's where
the exact color, make of Garrett's.
Yeah, which I thought was a really cool, like, I was like, oh shit. Because it allows you to like really quickly be like, oh shit, that's like,
look.
Yeah. Because at that point, there's no confirmation that he killed Garrett. But at that point, it's confirmed that the man named William Afton, who is Vanessa's dad, killed Garrett and the 5 other kids. But I feel like the animatronics are working on their own to get Abby. I don't think William Afton wants. Yeah, he doesn't care about that. But yeah, so then they're running away, and then that's when they're about to exit, and then from the shadows comes a clearly person in a suit of like the Bonnie suit, the yellow Bonnie suit at that point. Is that not?
No. They're running away, and Carl comes back and starts gnawing on Mike's foot.
And that's where he tells her to run. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And he escapes that bit. You know, we don't have to draw on that. Mike's just fucked up at this point.
Yeah, Mike's literally like bleeding out from everywhere. A fucking animatronic was gnawing on his Achilles tendon.
Yeah.
So like his foot's all fucked up, but he can still run around.
He's
apparently.
Like limping. He's limping. Like he's not like sprinting. But yeah, this is where Abby is running away from Foxy and doing some good stealth stuff. But I thought it was so funny that when she's like looking through the ball pit, it's just like a perfect like of her eye. It's like a huge gap of her eye, and Foxy can just see her.
The thing that I was like confused with was she's running away from Foxy and she's in the arcade, which I was like, this feels like security breach. But she's like hiding behind some arcade machines, and the only way to the ball pit is directly in front of Foxy, supposedly.
Yeah.
But she just disappears from like the complete right side of the room she's already halfway, like shoulders deep into the ball pit. And when Foxy gets to where she was, she like goes all the way in, not making any noise with those ball pit, those plastic
Yeah.
ball pit balls.
I will say I'm pretty sure. Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. But I think next to her is pinball machines. And pinball machines are above. You know, they have like legs like a table. So she could have climbed underneath there. But yeah, I'd have to watch that scene again because yeah, that doesn't make any sense. Again, the layout of this place is a mystery. Like it's so weird. But yeah, the whole bit with that chase was pretty suspenseful. I would say it was pretty good. It was pretty well done. But then yeah, that's where at this point Mike hasn't like went and looking for Abby, right? He
thought that she got out.
Yeah. So he's trying to go out through the front, and that's where our good old friend Springtrap, who is not Springtrap at this point, comes out.
No, he was. He had the head on.
But he's not Springtrap.
Okay, no.
Because Springtrap is
Bonnie.
He's just a golden Bonnie because that suit's pretty much fully intact besides just normal wear and tear.
Yeah.
But then he is apparently super powered because he kicks the shit out of Mike. He kicks him like 10.
Mike goes flying.
Yeah. I was like, this is interesting.
I was surprised that Mike was even fucking alive after being kicked in the head.
Yeah. Yeah, dude,
Mike was
after
kicked
everything he's
in
been
the
through.
head, got sent through like the air, at least like 3 feet in the air, fell back down onto the floor, and he still was conscious.
Yeah. For like one more attack. He gets hit one more time and then he's like out cold. But he gets it gets revealed that Steve Raglan is William Afton. Like that's when he takes his head off. And it's like it was obvious to pretty much any fan, but Nina had a somewhat like surprised reaction. She was like, I had an inkling, but I was like, nah, it doesn't seem like it's going to be that. And so she had a so for casual fans, it might actually be a decent reveal. Especially if you don't know who Matthew Lillard is, it's just a guy, you know, like
it's just a middle-aged man.
Yeah. And then did you notice the like knife pull that he does? Like,
yes, the scream knife pull.
Yeah, that was nice. That was a cool little nod. But yeah, it's revealed that Steve Raglan is actually William Afton, and he confirms that he killed Garrett. He's like, oh, now I'm going to kill you. And what I thought was interesting,
full circle moment.
What I thought was interesting was that the suit augments his voice, and I was like, why does it do that?
I think it was also they were trying to nod at Scream with the voice box.
Maybe because I thought it was interesting. I was like, those spring lock suits probably weren't advanced enough to augment his voice like that, and he sounds creepy. So why would he sound like that for kids? But I don't know. Maybe it was just a whole like. This is what, to hide that it's Matthew Lillard. But
it didn't even hide that it was Matthew Lillard that well, to be honest. As soon as I heard the Springlock's voice, I was like, or Springtrap's voice, I was like, oh, there he is. There's Matthew.
But it was, that was a cool scene. And then this is when Vanessa shows up. Yeah.
Yeah. And she's like, don't hurt him.
Well, she saves Abby first.
Yeah. She tases
Foxy.
Foxy also does the stiff fall backwards.
Mm-hmm. I mean, they all do. That's how they all get taken out, is they all like lock up and fall, which is funny. You'd think they would have some kind of balance where they just like don't work anymore, but nope, they just like fully.
Nope, they completely. Wow.
Yeah.
And she tells Abby to run.
Mm-hmm.
No, she's like, stay here, don't move.
Yeah.
And then she goes to help Mike.
Yeah, with a gun.
And then that's when she pulls a gun on her own father.
Mm.
And her dad's like, you won't do it. And then she shoots the suit.
Yeah.
Not aims at the head that's like,
exposed.
She goes through all of the like animatronic, all the metal first.
Yeah. I mean, it's probably pretty hard to shoot your dad in the face, if we're being honest.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was interesting. And then
Springtrap Afton, whatever you want to call him, has this whole monologue of like, you were supposed to keep him in the dark, keep him away, and now we have to finish the mess that you created.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting.
I was like, what do you mean Vanessa created this? Vanessa was just a kid when everything started.
Yeah, that I thought that was an interesting scene too. I'm glad you like thought that was weird. I was like, it could mean one simple thing, right? Where it's like this screw up of Mike getting too close to everything is her screw up, and it's like we got to finish this now, and that's your fault. I'm like, okay, fair. But it could also mean that she's somehow responsible for the deaths of all of the children, which I'm like, how? How? Oh yeah, we didn't even mention the opening credits where it shows a yellow Bonnie suit like in pixel art, like take away 5 kids.
Oh yeah.
Which is like just to set up like this is what happened. But yeah, I didn't. I thought that was weird. I feel like it's just a simple like you're the reason Mike is here, and you didn't stop him from getting too close. Yeah. But I'm like, motherfucker, you hired him. So
and another thing to actually, we'll go into that if we have any theories because I have like a little theory.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway.
But yeah, we're at the climax at this point, and Mike is basically KO'd at this point. He's on the floor. Vanessa gets stabbed during a scuffle with and Afton seems to have some kind of regret on his face. Does the scuffle happen after she tells Abby what to do? Or I think she's because Afton has her up against like a machine or something like that because she runs past him.
He's choking her out. Mm-hmm. He's choking Vanessa out, and Vanessa's like, Abby, you need to draw a picture. Tell them what really happened. Yeah, because throughout this whole movie, there's a wall in Freddy Fazbear's that has a bunch of drawings on it. And right in the middle is the yellow rabbit holding hands with 5 kids. So I'm like, is this wall magical? Like, is it brainwashing the kids? Because Vanessa mentions earlier in the movie that he has some powers over the animatronics and she doesn't know how. So I'm like, is this a magic wall? Is it through pictures?
Yeah. So she draws a picture of a yellow rabbit with 5 dead kids and replaces it. And then the animatronics flip a switch and surround him.
And Mike's awake by this point.
Yes.
Too.
Yeah. And Vanessa is also stabbed by this point as well.
And like passed out because she's bleeding out.
Yeah. And so with like a huge kitchen knife, we should mention. It's not just like a little, it's like a butcher's knife almost.
Yeah.
But this is where I thought it was interesting because they just kind of surround him and then the cupcake gets the quote unquote kill, which I was like, bro, this fucking cupcake, like, why is it so strong? But, my first thought was, okay, he gets shot and he's wearing a Springlock suit. And
the moisture from the blood should have.
Well, he doesn't get shot. It doesn't go through. It ricochets off.
Oh, right.
But I thought it was going to shake. And that's when I was like, so this suit that he's wearing is a lot more. So the Springlocks in this world are a lot sturdier than in the games, because in the games, like, apparently sweat can trigger them. So, the cupcake goes after him after the 4 animatronics are surrounding him, and the cupcake grabs him and like bites into the side and pulls off the like one little, like probably like a foot by a foot like area, and it shows the Springlocks in there. And this activates them, so the Springlocks go into him, and they all start to stab into him, and he collapses on the ground in the like pose from the game. And then how did you feel about his dying line?
Oh, everyone freaked out. I was like, oh my God, he said it.
He said the
I knew
thing.
He was going to say it.
Yeah. I thought it was cool, right? In the moment. I'm like, so what he does is he puts on while he's putting on the, he grabs the Bonnie head and starts putting it back on, and he says, I always come back, which is his line from the game. But what I thought was interesting, I was like, what have you come back from at this point? You know, like, that's what I thought was weird. I was like, what have you come back from, sir? But I understand that was like the one bit of fan service that I was like, I understand you needed to put it in because it's like one of the famous lines of the game, but like, what did you come back from? Have you died before, sir? Like, what do you mean you come back? What do you mean you always come back? So I thought that was just a little funny. But yeah, the Springlocks are all stabbing into him and he's bleeding out. And then Foxy grabs him with his hook and they start dragging him into the back. And they put him into the kitchen, which I thought was weird. I was like, okay, he's in the kitchen. Why is he not in the back room where everything is like...
Where everything happens.
Yeah. But then Vanessa goes to the hospital. And then...
everything goes back to way better than it was before.
Yeah. And yeah, so Vanessa's in the hospital. Mike thanks her for saying, like, he even says like a semi-famous line, but it's kind of a generic line from where he says, I don't know if you can hear me, which is what they say to the kid in FNAF 4 after he gets bit. I don't know if that, but that's something you just say to people that are in a coma. So I don't know if that's in reference or not. But, and then Abby is now making friends at school. She's talking and that's all good. And then the aunt's still dead and that's completely unaddressed. And then there's a mid-credits scene. Or no, the end, right before the end of the movie is the kid that plays the blonde-haired kid that's Golden Freddy. He is like watching as William Afton is in the suit, like twitching and dying, and he closes the door on him, which, you know, yeah.
Sorry, I'm going back to the scene
No, you're good.
where Afton was dying.
Yeah, we're about to finish talking about the movie itself. So yeah, anything that you remember is good. It's fair game.
While Afton was dying, he was asking the animatronics for help.
Mm-hmm.
He was like, "I created you.
That's right.
You guys are just little kids. You have to listen to what I say." He's trying to use like this was like what I found like so intriguing was he was trying to use like his manipulation from back when he killed them to get them back under his control.
100%. Yeah, he used like classic manipulation tactics for like a power dynamic like that. That was very good. It was very well done as like a creepy guy.
That was all I had to say.
Okay.
I was like,
no, yeah, it's a good point. It's a really good scene. Like that part of the movie, like that climax is really well done. I just thought it was lame that of everything, it's the fucking cupcake that technically killed him. Whereas like, I don't think any of the other animatronics put a hand on him. And I was like, okay, I understand that, you know, these animatronics probably aren't as like posable and active as they could be, but probably could have done something for that. Because they're for reference, all the animatronics are practical FX. They're real. They're fully actually made. Yeah, which is really cool. And then yeah, the post credit scene is Balloon Boy. The little figure of Balloon Boy gets into the taxi and scares the shit out of the
extension.
Yeah, which I was like, okay, cool. I thought they should have left like with a teaser because like clearly this movie's gonna make $1 billion fucking dollars.
Did you? Oh. That was the mid-credit scene, and then
the post-credits is not really a post-credits scene, but it's a little Easter egg.
Audio.
Yeah, which in the games, there's randomly there will be like a recorded voice or like a digital voice that spells out things. So what did it say again?
It spelled out "Come find me."
Yeah, so I'm like, which is what William has said to Mike Afton before. So that's interesting. But yeah, that's the movie. Again, like we said, it was good. I liked it, enjoyed it. It was a good time. But and we kind of discussed like what we would do to improve it and stuff. But what were some of your theories and takeaways before we close things out?
I had one. I shouldn't have been like, we'll just discuss that when we get there.
Got to write it down, man.
How about you go and you say your theories, and if some buzzword of yours like rejogs my memory, I will be like, hold on, I found it.
Okay. Let's see. I had something on here. Let's see which one.
Oh,
did you remember?
An Easter egg, like, no.
Okay.
But I remembered this thing. Easter egg / like you had to make sure that you were looking at the specific part.
Mm-hmm.
when there was a part where like the lights were flickering and everything was bugging
Mm-hmm.
in the mirror in the security
Oh
office in the
yeah,
dust.
yeah,
It's me was written in there.
yeah. Which is
Which
Golden Freddy.
yeah,
But that's where, yeah. That I mean, but why would he be saying it's me to Mike? Right.
yeah.
The only person that would be
Why?
saying it's me to Mike is Garrett. So I feel like Garrett's there somehow.
Somehow, somewhere.
I feel like if they're gonna do anything like that, it might be the puppet with Garrett, or he might be the second spirit that's inside of Golden Freddy. I don't know. But
And
one thing that I think was interesting that I wanted to touch on a little bit was Mike's family. He has a dad, a mom, a brother, a younger sister, and then himself, which in the games, that's the Afton family to a T.
yeah,
So I was like, this is very interesting that his family dynamic is the Afton family, but clearly the Afton family is, from what we know, Vanessa and William Afton so far. Vanessa doesn't mention
which
anything about a brother, her mom, or anything like that. So,
which
uh-huh.
is also like confusing because William Afton. So in the movies, it's William Afton and Vanessa Afton, but in the books and the games and literally all the other lore, it's William, Elizabeth, Michael. I almost said Gregory,
Yeah, unnamed crying child boy,
crying child, and then
an unnamed mom.
unnamed mom. And like you can't like unless there's a like Elizabeth is her middle name or something, like are they are they just making a new Afton family for the movies?
I think so. What's interesting is it's flipped because the only other thing we know is Henry.
Henry
Yeah, who only has
has
a
a
daughter
daughter,
named Charlie.
Carly.
So I think they're just flipping it and putting it on its head. Because but they still could do the puppet with Vanessa. If Vanessa dies somehow, she could become the puppet, and it still works
She's
out that way.
and like that would also like work out because she's a quote unquote police officer
Mm-hmm.
design like and the puppet's design is to keep people safe.
Yeah, so that's interesting. And then Garrett, I don't know what he could be, if he's going to be the vengeful spirit or what. But the blonde-haired kid seemed pretty vengeful to Afton.
Yeah.
So, let's see. Oh yeah, the one that's been talked about a little bit is that Abby is an anagram for baby. So there is that whole thing that she like they could be doing eventually have her be baby, and babies it's a whole other can of worms thing. So I don't know. I don't know where they're gonna go. But they left it vague enough to where anything can happen.
Yeah.
Vanessa could wake up and it'd be fine. Vanessa could die and possess something. Afton will still be back. They could. I don't even know if Mike will be in the next movie. Like it could be a completely different thing. Like, but I do know Matthew Lillard signed a 3-year or 3-movie contract, so he'll be in other movies, whether they're origin stories or what. But I don't know. What's up?
I remembered it. When Steve Raglan, William Afton, whatever, reads Mike Schmidt,
Mm-hmm.
he just says Michael. He goes, Michael,
Oh yeah.
and then he's like, "Do you want a cup of coffee? I have a job for you."
Yeah. That was
Because right
interesting.
before that, he was telling Mike how like no one's gonna accept you, like you can't hold a job for more than 6 months, like
Yeah.
no one's gonna want to take you in. He's like, "Listen, Mike,
Yeah.
do you want a cup of coffee?" And I was like,
I'm trying to remember if at that point they had revealed that his name was Mike Schmidt in movie.
No, it panned over to his name
Mm-hmm.
as he was reading it.
Yeah.
That was the first time we saw his name.
Okay. Yeah. Because if you don't know, Mike Schmidt is the first character you play as in FNAF 1. Like he's the security guard.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is interesting. It does like make him realize like, oh, okay, this guy's related to Garrett, and we'll try to figure that out. But yeah, I'm very curious what theories will come out of this. I don't really know where it's going to go from here.
Yeah.
But it could, like, I do like that it could go anywhere. Like, they could do a prequel. One thing they did point out, I did see somebody point out, was one of the mechanics on the, because during the training video that Mike watches with his name on it, which is interesting. One of the training videos it doesn't ever say Afton. It says one man's something brought this together. What I thought was, somebody pointed out that one of the mechanics or people working on the endoskeletons, it
was Mike's dad.
Yeah, it looks like Mike's dad. But I find it hard to believe that Mike's dad would work there and Mike would not know what Freddy Fazbear's is.
Yeah.
You know, like, there's no way his dad was a part of making the animatronics and wouldn't want to show those off to his kid. You know, so that's where I'm like, it's a little far-fetched. And then they imply that he killed himself too, which is another thing that Charlie's dad does in the games. So there's a lot of parallels. There's a lot of things they could do, a lot of different things they could do, which I like because I have no idea.
Easter egg about the fact that the security tape had Mike written on it. It was actually on TikTok that I saw this, but under the big bold letters of Mike, there was Fritz underneath it.
Oh, nice. That's sick. I like that.
So it's the old security guard who died.
Yeah.
Is named Fritz.
In FNAF 2, right? Is Fritz? Yeah. And then there's Jeremy too, is another one. That's cool. I didn't know that. I'm very excited for all the breakdowns and stuff. But yeah, I don't have any other takes. I thought the acting was surprisingly done well in this. I thought every child actor was good. All the supporting cast was good.
I really liked Max.
Max was good. Yeah. Abby was so
Killed it.
good. She was so good. But yeah, I'm looking at my notes and I think we covered everything that I wanted to talk about in my notes, like, naturally.
I have a funny thing about end credits.
Okay.
So my friend brought a cutout of Markiplier's face as a costume, and he didn't wear it throughout the film, obviously, because he wanted to see. But he put it on the armrest in between mine and his, and then it fell onto my chair, so I just held it. And at the end, when all the lights came up, I held Markiplier up because we were in the row in front of everyone. So I held Markiplier up and he stayed upright, and it's the exact screen grab of, was that the bite of 87?
Yeah.
And so I held it up. I hear people go, was that the bite of 87? But I had already brought it down. And then I slowly put it back up again, and people started cheering and clapping.
That's so funny. I love that.
It's like, oh my fucking God, I wasn't planning on, I just thought, I was like, if someone sees this, it'll be funny.
Yeah.
Whatever. But then when people actually started responding to it, I was like, oh my God. Oh my God.
Yeah, you're like, I have power here. This is great. Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I'm trying to think. The only other thing that's lingering in my head is how Abby was communicating with the spirits of the animatronics at home. And
maybe you mentioned I'm now making my own theories.
Absolutely.
But maybe it's because if Garrett is one of the two souls in Golden Freddy, because she's got that blood connection to Garrett, and I don't know if that's the house that they grew up in or something.
I think it's got to be, because there's no way that Mike can afford a place like that.
Can afford a new house.
Yeah.
So maybe even since Garrett probably wasn't killed inside the pizzeria, he still can go back home. And so he brings the other souls over there and it's like, hey guys, this is my sister.
That would be interesting. My thought was that maybe it's just because of the connection with them as siblings, or I don't know. It's very weird. Like, how is she connect? Like, because maybe I'm wrong in that they were communicating with her only after Mike started working there, and like that's when she started. Because I think she doesn't mention her friend, but it seems like that's a thing that she has imaginary friends. So
Yeah.
I'm very curious where that goes, if they explain that at all, that she was able to communicate with. Like, is she still able to now? Like, if she's at home, is she able to talk with them or what? But yeah, I do like that they've kind of put it on its head, and there's different ways for everything to go, and it's a whole new theories that people can come up with that maybe will influence the games and stuff. But the games are clearly in its own realm with security breach and stuff moving forward. But hey, pretty soon there's going to be FNAF VR Help Wanted 2. Comes out next month, I think. So that'll be fun to watch on Let's Plays, because I don't have a PSVR 2. So yeah.
And I cannot do motion sickness.
It'll eventually come out on a phone like the other one did. So maybe we'll eventually touch on that, but I don't want our channel to become just FNAF. It just so happened that the movie and the game, we did that on purpose, but I don't know if there's any new video game movies coming out anytime soon, but we'll continue to cover them, and maybe we'll just watch, we'll do an episode on Sonic or Sonic 2 or Detective Pikachu or something like that. Yeah, there's lots of movies to choose from.
Yeah.
If you guys like these, let us know, because we like talking about these movies. They're fun. Do we have anything else we want to talk about before we wrap up?
I have. It's another experience thing that I forgot to mention.
Mm-hmm.
So, at the beginning of the episode, I mentioned how me and my friends ran to go take a picture in the bathroom.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we exited the bathroom, like we didn't want to disturb anyone. We didn't want to be like sprinting out of a bathroom.
Yeah.
So we exited the bathroom and then ran from the bathroom to the theater. But as we're coming out, I'm like making sure that my friends are behind me. I'm making sure that no one's like left behind.
Mm-hmm.
And this like 7-year-old like child runs up to me. She goes, "I like your Bonnie costume." I was like, "Oh my God." I was like, "Oh my God, thank you." And then another, like, I heard like a deep voice go, "Is that Shadow Freddy?" I was like,
I have ears.
Bonnie ears. Like, what do you mean?
It's so funny. Yeah, it's kind of wild. Like, that kid that's probably like 7 or 8 years old is like the same age as
the first game.
Mm-hmm. It's pretty wild. It is a very crazy thing that how long this movie took to make happen, and how long this series has been going. But yeah, I think that's about it, right? We don't have anything else.
Yeah. If
you guys want like a theory episode or something like that, we're not experts, but we can do a bonus episode where we talk about our favorite theories if you want. It's got to be soon, because I'm not gonna just randomly post a FNAF theory episode if it's not connected to this movie. So if you want us to talk about FNAF theories, we can, but I don't think anybody wants that. There's enough people out there. That's a whole ocean of content for others to delve into. But Jess, where can people find us on the internet?
You can find us on Instagram and Threads at ShortLongPod, and we are part of a Discord group called Leveling Friends Group. You can find us there. The link is in our link tree. Yes, and it'll also, I think I'll have a direct invite in the show notes below as well if you want to go there. But yeah, the link tree's on everything. So if you're ever like, where do I go for everything? If you can find us on one thing, you can find us everywhere. Yeah. We're active, or Eric's active on Threads. I'm getting more active on Instagram. Yeah. I'm active on Threads quite a lot. Some would say too much. We're both active on the Leveling Friends group. Mm-hmm. If you want to have direct like contact with us, our Discords are there. You can talk to us in there. Yep. It's got we have the short long pod like channel. There's also a bunch of other channels on there, like casual stuff. It's a pretty chill hangout. You can meet some other cool content creators and people that are just fans of games. So it's been pretty chill so far. All right. I think that'll do it for us then. So yeah, if you guys like this episode,
please go leave a review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. It really helps the channel grow quite a bit. If you do leave a review, we'll read it out on here. If you shout us out on Threads or Instagram or whatever, we will shout it out as well. If you have questions for us, please let us know. Maybe one day we'll do a Q&A episode, because that would be kind of fun, just to chill, answer questions, get to know us a little bit better. And yeah, just share it around to your friends. My simple call to action is just post on Threads with a link to the new episode on your podcast player of choice. That'll be a nice, simple, not illegal or nefarious call to action. Just post it on Threads or Instagram or wherever you feel like posting it. Just post it around. It'll help our channel grow quite a bit. But next episode should be Luigi's Mansion 3 with Derek from Good Games Casually. Jess, is your episode coming out soon with Good Games Casually?
I believe it is.
Okay, cool.
Tell
me about it briefly, real quick, before we sign out.
We had some issues with my mic, so we had 3 different recording sessions in those 30 minutes. And I already talked with Derek. We've already it's all good. But he has 3 different audio files that he needs to cut together to edit.
That's not too bad. That's an easy thing. But I'm excited to hear that. It'll be your first thing on
this podcast.
Yeah, first thing you've done without me. So I'll be curious how that goes. But yeah, if you guys enjoyed it, please let us know. We're happy you're here. And if you want more movie stuff, let us know. And if you want more FNAF theories, I guess we can do one mega episode about theories and stuff, but I don't think you want that. But yeah, I've been Eric.
I'm Jess.
And we'll see you guys next time.
Bye.
There's a funny discussion that's happening on Threads and Discord about fandom names and stuff. And somebody said a very funny...
Short longers.
Yeah. I was like, that's terrible. But I kind of like it also.
I was thinking, and I was like, what if we just say, what's up, shorties?
That's what I was thinking, too. That was the number one thing that happened. But I was like, okay, that's not bad. I actually do like that one a little bit. But I was like, it kind of feels like it might just need to come naturally for yeah, that's the obvious one, right? If you want to be the shorties. And I think that's not a bad one because, yeah, it fits. But yeah, that's really funny. We were both immediately number one, shorties. If we were going to name a fandom, it's going to be shorties.